Welcome to the Business Unwrapped podcast. I'm your host, Aleesha Bake, a professional voice talent and an entrepreneur. And joining me today are Mark Hodgkinson, Eric Jones, and Sujita. I'm going to butcher your name, so I'm going to let you say it so that I don't say it wrong.
It's Sujita Purushottaman.
Purushottaman.
That's perfect.
Pretty close. Mark Hodgkinson is an executive with over 15 years of experience in the stone processing industry. He serves in roles such as managing director, various operations and commercial positions, and he has a remarkable track record of transforming businesses, leading teams, and driving significant profit improvements. Currently, he's a business growth specialist at Action Coach UK and managing director at MHPP Consulting. And Mark, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. I would love to do a little intro for Eric and Sujita as well. Eric is a quality-driven software professional with over 25 years experience delivering small to large-scale enterprise solutions since 1997. Eric is a polyglot, full-stack developer with low-level hardware and RFID experience, having delivered over 125 successful solutions. That is a lot. And Sujita is a hands-on software engineer who has worked in varied fields ranging from cryptography and device driver programming to web design and data analytics. She also has an extensive experience in international business strategy, technology strategy, and business operations in technology and international trade. So I feel like the small person in the room over here. But I am excited to learn from you guys today and hear where our conversation takes us. Today's topic, Mark, is standing out from the crowd. Can you talk to us about why you phrased that way?
Yeah, it's an interesting. There's lots of different words for this. People are familiar with words like niche and unique selling proposition and the point of difference, but we always very much look for that with clients, what they do very differently from other people, or indeed they're better than everybody else at it. So that's how it'd be great to hear from these guys. How they stand out from other competitors in the marketplace.
What does that mean to you? What does standing out from the crowd or niching down mean for you, Sujita?
For us, that's technical excellence. It means doing things that are as good as they can be so that the customer is happy. It means that we are very skilled in what we do and we put the rigor in the solutions that we develop for our customers. We'd like our customers to be very happy with the product and solutions that we give them so that they keep coming back to us.
How about you, Eric? Do you have any different ideas on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously the quality has to be there and so on, as Sujita talked about. And as a small enterprise, we do offer that kind of unique service to our customers. We can tailor solutions. We can be agile, both in how we deliver software, but also the services and the propositions we give to our customers. That maybe the larger companies can't provide, I suppose. But the other side of that, I think, where we are in the RFID world, yes, we are a software company, but that software company, we have specialist knowledge in specific areas such as Internet of Things, and also with RFID solutions as well. So with those things, it's not just about being able to be a really good software developer and produce software quality, but it's knowledge of the underlying physics and the hardware and the solutions that we need on the physical side to be able to provide that overall, kind of quality to our customers. And then, of course, the data that we maybe garner from an IoT device, whether it be a temperature reading or some sort of vibration readings, or maybe just asset numbers from an RFID tag. Those things have to be pushed and pulled into various systems as well. So maybe we have to do an integration piece into SAP it's not just about being good at software or being good at the RFID physics. It's having that overall business knowledge and doing those API integrations and those third-party integrations as well. And I think we'll get onto that a little bit in terms of the USP, but I think that's one of the things that separates us from a lot of our competitions is, yes, we have other companies that do software development, but they don't necessarily understand the nuances and the kind of intricacies of RFID and when to use a paper tag, when to use an on-metal tag, when to use a specialist tag, because you need something that's temperature resistant or even kind of cold resistant. So a lot of those there's a lot of devil in the detail that kind of separates us from our competition on that front.
So, for our listeners who don't know what RFID is, can you give us just a very basic general overview? What is RFID? What are the applications that your company mostly focuses on? And we'll dive more into your business strategy in a bit, but I really want to understand, what is RFID for someone who might be listening to this and they're, in a very, very different field?
No, that's fine. So RFID is radio frequency identification, and as a technology, I guess this has been around since probably back end of World War II. RFID was used to identify planes and things in the back end of World War II, or friendly or otherwise. In more recent times, obviously that's been applied to the business world, and so it's been around probably for about 10 or 15 years and gaining a lot more footage and hold in the market. Now, with RFID, there are two different types, I suppose. You have what's called active and passive. So passive RFID is generally a very simple tag, which may be a paper-based tag, and that is something you can apply to a parcel box. So I know we've got some on video here is an example of some very simple inlays, which are an RFID inlay, and on the center of this, there's a little micro dot, which is the paper chip. The rest of this area here is the antenna, and the idea being that you'll place this on a box or an asset or something that you want to keep track of, and essentially you can then agitate that by providing radio frequency energy, by you have a handheld, something like this, with a mobile application on, and you can press the trigger. This will send out an electromagnetic field. It will power on the chip, and the chip will then give its information back to you, which contain a unique identifier and potentially some other information that we wish to come back. Now, with those passive tags, they come in different, if you like, bandwidths or kind of radio frequencies. So you've got the low frequency style, which is generally glass chips that your cat and dog and animals at home might get chipped with, and they're very low touch. You have to be very, very close to read those values, but they're a lot more resistant to, say, water, which is why we can put them on the skin, which is why cat and dogs and so on get chipped with those. Moving up the spectrum a little bit, you've got what's called high frequency tags, and high frequency are near touch, so they are generally the type of things you see on a lanyard for door access, or little key fobs you need to get into a building. And also your Apple Pay and Samsung Pay on your mobile phone is a variation of that, something called NFC, or near field communication, and that kind of works on that same principle of the 13.56 megahertz. Moving up to the next level, the simpler tags I've shown you there, these are ultra UHF, or effectively a much wider bandwidth, so you can read those for so ultra high frequency. You can read them over, say, a 10, 15 meter or possibly even larger range. And then obviously there are other types of tags on the active side as well. So you may have heard of Bluetooth, which you could probably categorize under that active tag solution. But then you also have things like microwave tags. So here we've got a simple kind of active tag. This is battery powered. This runs on the microwave spectrum, so that's 2.5 gigahertz. And then at the top end of that spectrum, you have things like GPS, GNSS systems as well. So tags can be the battery powered, where they'll fire out information themselves without being interrogated. Passive tags are kind of more simpler and generally get powered on once they get turned on, if you like, by the radio frequency energy from a reader. But I think just one point on the USP, people tend to think about these types of simple paper tags when they talk about RFID, and a lot of times when we go to meet, they go, oh, you're the guys who have the stickers. Well, just to give you some examples, they don't have to be just stickers. They can be embedded into labels. So these are intelligent labels. They have an RFID tag inside of them. But once we start getting into the more specialised kinds of things, we may want to track containers or things like on metal tags and heat. There's a whole bunch of other unique tags in there. So these are all, and this is probably 30, 40 tags I'm showing you from potentially hundreds that you can select from for various projects. So a lot of the kind of skill in that RFID side of it is not just knowing the software and the solution, but to know what type of tag to apply to what type of solution. Is it heat resistant? Is it cold resistant? Is it a ruggedized tag because it's used outside, or is it a simple paper tag because it's on an Amazon parcel? So there's a lot of devil in the detail and a lot of the nuances that go with all of that. Hopefully that gives you a good overview.
Yeah, that's a fabulous overview. So it sounds like the implications and the ability to use this software is kind of endless. There's so many different ways that it can be utilized. So, Sujita, I see on Nexatrack's website that you guys have worked with companies like Honeywell, Caterpillar, BBC. Like, you're working with big names and doing some big things. So you're not creating the actual product, you're developing the plan for them, or you do both?
We develop the solution for them. And yes, we do work with large companies. In fact, one of our customers that we've retained for quite some time and they keep coming back to us is a multi-billion-dollar company. And why do they come to us? Because we give them exactly what they want with no fuss. This particular company, we've created for them, or we use our RFID event solution. And this solution allows them to communicate to their attendees live in real time with mass customized text and email. So as you can imagine, it will boost the audience engagement so much when the presenters are talking. And then the attendees, they get notifications live about what the presenter is talking that are mass customized to each one of them. And that's the reason why they come back. So it is a lot technical knowledge of the technical requirements that are required for the solution, but it's also understanding the business case. It's also delivering value. So every box needs to be ticked. So the solution needs to be technically perfect. It needs to be delivered on time. It needs to solve their problem. It needs to solve the business problem. And what we do is we always try to go above and beyond, because then we retain the customer, and that's the thing that makes us the happiest.
I like what you said, that we solve their problem with no fuss, right? And one of my questions for you is, what makes you stand out? What makes you different from the other companies? And how do you develop that strategy for yourself? Because it sounds like you're really great at developing strategies for other businesses. What kind of strategies have you implemented for Nexatrack to help you stand out above the rest? Because is everyone else doing the same thing? Are there other software companies? This isn't software solution, right? Is that what we're...
Yes, it's a software
Are there
solution.
other companies doing it?
We are one of the few companies that provide an end-to-end solution. So a lot of people, when they are niche, they just do their own solution. We are niche in RFID, but we are niche in giving you an end-to-end RFID or IoT solution. So that's why Eric and I, we work well together, because while he's the technical head, he's got a very, very technically oriented brain. I look at the business case and I make sure that the solution that we develop gives value to the customer. So how we stand out is basically we tick all the boxes. Even though we're a small company, we make sure that we address the problem, we deliver value, and we are technically very capable, so that we don't have to deliver only part of the solution.
I think if I can just chip in, I think it's really enlightening to hear that what Sujita and Eric are talking about is listening to the customer and finding the right solutions for them, rather than say, here's a load of technical stuff, this will fix your problem. Well, will it? It really is listening and
No,
actually giving them the right solution. That is a USP to me. That's standing out. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think with that kind of approach, we normally have a workshop that we run before we start with the project, and that allows us to really kind of drill down and get the devil of the detail in a particular business operation. So with some of those businesses, obviously, yes, you might have one warehouse over here and another warehouse over here, and generally they will do similar kind of things. You know, they'll have put-away processes, they'll have picking processes, but the operational environment from warehouse A versus warehouse B can be completely different. You know, one of them could be housed in a wooden building, one could be housed in a metal building, for example. One could be, have a lot of electrical interference going on. One might be quite damp. So a lot of the workshops not only allow us to kind of sit down with the customer, go through the business processes and what systems do we need to talk to, but it also gives us an opportunity to prove the technology as well, because a lot of the proof of that technology is, have we got the right type selection? Yes, but does it work in your environment and proving in your environment? And the nuances of, okay, do we need to kind of set the attenuation or the power of the readers to be able to work in an area with, say, lots of metal where there might be reflections or bounce of signal, or are we working in an area where maybe there's carbon fibre, for example, which can detune tags, or is there a lot of moisture in the air, which again can affect things. So moisture, temperature, other electrical interferences, various environmental things, they can all affect the kind of success or failure of a project. And so that workshop allows us to iron out a lot of those devil in the detail, which means that when we come to deliver the final solution, we're quite confident of success in that. And again, I think that's what separates us from a lot of our competitors, as in they just think, oh, how hard can it be? We can buy some hardware, we can write some software, but they've not shredded the t-shirt, they've not had that that experience of knowing, and it's like everything, isn't it? Every time you get a failure, you learn something from it, and you bring that experience forward. And when you've been doing it as long as I have, you've certainly shredded a few t-shirts over the years. But the one thing I can say from that is your future customers benefit from that. So.
I think I'd like to add something on that. The difference between RFID solution and other solutions is that RFID is actually the interface between the physical world and the virtual world, because you're collecting data about the real world, temperature, location, humidity, pressure. It's the real world data that you're collecting, and you're transforming them into digital data. But is the data exactly what you want? Are you collecting the right data? That question is what the expertise in RFID is important. Because where do you place the tag? At which point do you read it? If you collect the wrong data, it doesn't matter how much data you have, it's going to be useless. And that's the skill that we have. And that's why we do the workshop, to make sure that we collect the right data at the right time.
It sounds like really listening to the client, going in person and evaluating things and doing these workshops actually is one of the things that really makes you stand out. Mark, do you want to take that conversation and go a little deeper into that?
I think I'd like to add one point for that. I think a lot of companies have what they call a unique selling point or a unique selling proposition. I think we as a Nexatrack, we as a company, Nexatrack, we try to provide what's unique for you. So each customer does get that unique experience, which the customer number 2 down the road might not get. So I think we offer unique for you solutions rather than unique propositions. So.
I like that. Very customized for the client.
Yeah, I think that's what is coming out very strongly. Is I think every solution is going to be different, isn't it, guys? That what you're saying, which is why it's not a unique selling proposition from this is the solution and this is where we're different. What you do is tailor your solution to what the client needs. And you question that through your workshop, I think as Sujita says.
Absolutely.
You need that data. Why do you need that data?
Yeah, it's that 80-20 principle rule, isn't it? Even though we do have some software products and we do have some off-the-shelf solutions we can offer, one business is never 100% the same as another business. There's always that little process difference, or that kind of operational difference, or even environmental difference. So then workshops allow us to really drill down, and I can't stress the importance of them. It allows us to really drill down and get to the bottom, the real crux of the business. And in some cases, we probably end up knowing our customers' businesses better than they do by the end of some of these processes, with the deep dives that we do. So it's very, very useful.
So let me ask you both a question, and either of you can take this. With such a broad reach, pretty much any business out there could benefit from some form of RFID technology, it sounds like, in some way, shape, or form. So with such a broad base and then such a varied approach to what you're going to give them, depending on what kind of business they are, how do you target customers? How do you decide who your ideal customer profile is? Because it sounds like it could be pretty much anyone.
Yeah, it can be quite difficult, to be fair. Because, as you say, we could target, for example, warehouse solutions. And yes, okay, we get a large contingent of customers in that area. But, what is it that they're warehousing? So, for example, you could have a standard, shipping customer, for example. But then you might have, well, what about a free port? And you've got someone who's got a bonded warehouse in there. So their solution might have to think about, well, we have whiskies or certain things that are VAT exempt and they're stored in one part of the warehouse. So they're not subject to import duties, and so there's always nuances like that. And so there's always some additional kind of offering that we can give our customers. But I think being a business that's small enough to be agile, we can adapt and say, okay, we can write something or we can develop something on the side that will fit your requirements. Whereas a larger organisation, PricewaterhouseCoopers or a Deloitte or something like that, their projects are just too different for them to make an overall. They like to have cookie cutter things where they can just stamp out standard solutions for everyone. Now, whilst we do have that kind of off-the-shelf offering, there's always some customizations. There's always some additional value we can add to the customer bases. So, I think I like stuff that's technically challenging. We normally get a lot of weird and wonderful projects that are most people would turn away because they just say.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, they can't do it, or it's too difficult to think out. So we kind of almost embrace some of those projects, I think. So we've got quite a good reputation for the technical side of things. I suppose we just need to shout a bit more about what we do and get better at the marketing side of it, which is obviously why we're doing a lot of stuff like this. So it's either podcast. I was going to say it's either podcast or it's TikToks, but I don't think I'm quite up to dancing on screen. So I think a podcast is probably more appropriate.
It's funny. I'm actually on TikTok, and you will never find me dancing. Nope. My children have forbidden it. Mark, what do you suggest when clients come to you with this type of scenario to get it out there? I loved what you said, Eric, about the weird and the wonderful. I think that's how you put it, and I thought that was great. How do they find more of the weird and the wonderful?
The weird and wonderful, or the technically challenging. That's exactly. Create your point of difference is right. But once you create that point of difference, the most important thing from a marketing perspective, which Eric picked up on, is actually knowing what that target market is. What are you looking for? And be as specific as you possibly can. And what I mean by that is the types of business, the types of people that you want to deal with, the size of the business, where they are, most importantly, where they hang out, so where you're going to find them, because that really dictates then your marketing strategies of how you actually reach those people. So very, very, very specifically spend a lot of time on targeting your market and being very, very prescriptive of who that is and what that looks like. What that avatar is really, what that technically challenging, weird and wonderful client is. And because that sounds like it's the type of clients that you want to go for.
Yeah, our avatars are very wide-reaching and very diverse. I guess there's everything from your kind of millennial managers who are trying to just keep track of their assets to strange techno geeks who want to put an RFID tag in space. And yes, we have actually managed to achieve that one as well. That's interesting.
It goes back to the tighter you can keep that, the better and more targeted you can be. But you're right, you can have different marketplaces and have different marketing approaches, different strategies in order to reach that market.
Yeah, it sounds like you really have to vary your approach depending on which specific market you're targeting at the time.
You absolutely have to do. That's the most important thing of marketing, is really understanding your target market. Lots of people make the mistakes of going out there and doing various things, writing loads of copy and different strategies and telemarketing and direct marketing. But fundamentally, the most important thing you can do is understand that market, that target market. And as I said, where you will find that target market.
No, absolutely. I 100% agree, Mark. Obviously, that's why we're obviously working with you, because, you want to work with one of the best in the market, and Mark's definitely there. So, and he didn't pay me to say that either, honestly.
I love it. Well, so Mark, give us some ideas for when someone has such a varied market. Do they pick one at a time and maybe for a couple of months just really focus on this specific market, or have how do they have a multifaceted approach without just kind of spraying and praying for the best?
Yeah, absolutely great question. And actually, you have to take it back a little bit there, to be honest with you, because you've got to ultimately have a business plan, because your business plan is identifying what you're looking to generate yourself personally. I think that should always be important. So why are you in business? But then your business plan or your business strategy has got to align to that your personal goals. So your business plan, to some degree, whether that's a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan, has got to dictate what your revenue targets are, what your profitability targets are, and therefore start defining where are you going to win that business, what type of clients you're going for. That then dictates whether you're going for 2 or 3 different market segments. It's all dependent, really, Aleesha, on that plan. There is nothing wrong, and it's quite normal to go for three or 4 different marketplaces and have, as I said before, different strategies towards them. But it goes back to what you want to achieve out of your business.
So, Sujita and Eric, what are some struggles you feel like you've had in that? Are there struggles that you can share with developing your target market or understanding your ideal customer profile?
Yeah, I think it is quite difficult, really, because there's, as I say, RFID and software is one thing, and knowledge of that is obviously the core of what we do. But the real skill is how do you apply that? And a lot of the time, because we sit behind a lot of technology partners as well who give us leads, and they can come in, anything from tracking assets within a construction project to being something in manufacturing or ERP tracking and kind of job scheduling and planning, or it can be simple asset management or people tracking, systems for old people's homes to keep people safe. So it is very difficult. We try to limit that, but of course, with anything, when a customer comes in, because we do try and, even if it's not in our core demographic, sometimes we do always stretch out and try and help. And so it usually ends up there's another product that comes out the back of it or something. But it can be quite good. Sujita, do you want to add something?
Yeah, a lot of our customers come from word of mouth. And if somebody had a particularly difficult project that has failed once, maybe twice, and then they found it, and then we delivered a good job, and they always remember when they face the problem and somebody solved the problem. So we get a lot of word of mouth customers because referrals, which makes us feel good because it means we're doing something right. So the customers that we retain once they're with us, they hardly ever leave because we keep giving them what they want. And they also refer new customers to us, which means that we get new customers and we get growth without explicitly spending a lot on marketing. So that's a very happy place, nice place to be in. And as Eric mentioned, we have a network of partners that we work with, the hardware manufacturers, and they know us and they refer customers to us as well. So it's a good place to be in.
Referrals is just, I mean, people just need to use referrals all the time. It's one of the best and most effective marketing strategy, and in some cases the cheapest as well. And
Right.
people, a lot of business owners, yeah, absolutely, a lot of business owners do great work for people that come across, but I don't know if it's Britishness. This, I might say. They don't actually say, look, I've done a really great job for you. Are there 2 or 3 other people that you know which might benefit from what I've done for you? And believe it or not, people will go, yeah, there is. And it's a lot cheaper than, yeah, absolutely. And it's a lot cheaper than advertising and networking and telemarketing and all those things. So
no, for sure. You can shout all day long on LinkedIn or whatever about how great you are, but there's nothing like someone else saying, he's actually quite great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
that's what I was going to ask is there any specific strategy that a business owner can implement to make sure that they're utilizing referrals with their customers? And I loved what you said, Mark, about just simply asking. You know, sometimes that's the simplest solution, is just asking, hey, you know, when they say, I loved what you did for our business, and you say, it would mean the most to me if you would share that with others. You know, is there someone specific? I like that you ask a specific question. Eric and Sujita, is there an example that you can give of a time where you have asked that specific question and it's either gone well for you or maybe gone poorly?
Well, I was going to say, there's a few times we've asked for kind of case studies and referrals, I think, and we're quite good with getting those. As I say, the Berry Black Pudding company is one of the places that we can show people around for a solution. So we've got quite a good relationship with them, and we can use that as a kind of reference site, if you like. And the marketing company we work with, Forever Living, is quite good on referrals for us as well. That, as I say, they always kind of give us Trustpilot reviews and things like that. They're very good with those. I think the thing is, though, I think we need to turn that more into regeneratable business, because you get the little bits of kind of, okay, we'll refer to this customer, refer to that, but I suppose we need to lean on them a little bit more than we do, because I think as a business, that I've probably said here is, we're very good at doing and not so good at shouting about our own selves. So yeah, I'm trying to learn a lot of marketing skills myself and doing a reasonable job of it, I guess. But yeah, from a technical background, my normal kind of comfortable space is engine room, delivering solutions, and not so much about putting on a fancy suit and being that kind of face of the business. But maybe I need to do a bit more of that as we go forward, for sure.
Yeah, what we need to do now is we enjoy the success of the project very much, but we need to look a little bit more towards the bank balance as well, I guess. That's where we're at.
I can really relate to specifically what you said, Eric. Like, for me as a voice actor, I'm happiest behind the microphone. I want to walk in, I want to record my audio, and I want to then go back to my life. But instead, I have to let people know that I record audio. Otherwise, I won't be recording any audio, right? So it's the same with you guys. Like, Mark, what are the best strategies you can recommend that they could implement very quickly to making that change to thinking about how to get their message out there, how to get people to know about what they're doing?
With regard to referrals, or generally?
Either one.
Yeah. Well, referrals. I think he's just getting in that routine of. I'm going to say this because he's getting out of the Britishness. And when I'm talking about this, that's why I purposely said just ask the question. we've done what we've delivered. You've been really pleased with it. Are there any other people? I think that's quite simple. People get tied up a little bit with referrals, that they think you're making payments or donations to people in order to give you referrals.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing wrong with that. And that can be donations to charities. But fundamentally, clients that you are dealing with, you can position it up front, because I'm not going to ask you until I've delivered what I said I'd do. But when I have, I would like to ask you whether there's any other people I know. We always talk within multiple strategies when you're marketing. And I think it goes back to what I said. You've got to understand that market or markets that you're going for, then where they're going to hang out. So if they don't hang out on social media platforms like Facebook, don't waste your time on Facebook. So find out where they hang out and then devote some time to that. But everything you do in marketing, you test and measure it. So whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's telemarketing, direct sales, referral programs, network groups, whatever it is, make sure you test and measure it. What I mean by that is understand what the acquisition cost is of a customer and what a customer on average is worth to you. These are all ways that you market effectively. Taking a slight variation of what you said, because there was another point about the education, making people aware of Nexatrack. That is through different platforms. LinkedIn is great for that. It's always good to do a little bit of educate, not selling all the time, but doing education and training pieces so you get your brand awareness out there. So variety of things.
Yeah.
Well, it's the first stage of the funnel, isn't it? Is awareness. People not going to buy from you if they're not aware of you. So
yeah.
It's a very good point. I honestly did not know the term RFID. Before this episode, I had to Google, what does RFID mean, right? But yet, once I looked it up, I realized, this is something that I interact with on a daily basis in a variety of ways, whether I'm at a doctor's office or whether I'm paying with my card or any other type of way. So I think one thing that you said, Mark, that's really interesting is that you have to test it and you have to give it time to work too. I hear people say, I tried using LinkedIn, but it didn't work. And I'm like, well, what did you try? And I made a post.
Yeah.
Just one? You made one post, and it's like if you go to the gym and you work out for one day and you're like, I didn't lose any weight. I didn't build any muscles. I quit, right? You've got to give it time. And so really investing, and that's what you said, about the customer acquisition costs. You've got to invest the time.
Yeah, you've got to be consistent and persistent in what you do. LinkedIn is a great one, because that isn't, in most industries, that's not a short-term lead generator. That's a long-term lead generation. It's those lovely words that we all use, like, no, trust. And it takes a long time to get that. It's a good strategy in order to build up.
People need to, exactly. People need to know about you, then they need to like you, then they need to trust you. And then,
absolutely.
And if you want to use the same analogy, it's, I think some people, even if they do use LinkedIn, if you apply the same analogy to dating, it's like people kind of meet on the first date and they go straight to, right, we're going to get married and can we name our 3 children? And you're like, whoa, we're not even at the bottom of a coffee yet. It's like, let's get to coffee and then we'll see how coffee goes, and then we might do lunch, and then, we might do the cinema or something, and, we'll take it from there. Or, and you get a lot of people like that. You reach out on LinkedIn, go, hello, you add them, and then the next minute is, boom, buy the stuff from us. And you go, well,
exactly.
You've got to follow the steps, haven't you? So
I love that dating analogy. It's brilliant, and it's right as well. And I think Google did a lot of research on this recently, and it is astounding that there's more contact points now in order to build those relationships than there's ever been. And it's multiple. It could be things like this. It could be face-to-face coffees, virtual coffees, few phone calls. But it takes a lot longer to build up that trust. Absolutely.
And I think a lot of that has also been because of COVID lockdowns and everything else as well, everything now tends to be done on Zoom and cameras, which, maybe I'm a little bit old fashioned, but sometimes looking someone in the whites of their eyes and shaking a hand is, it just reinforces those bonds, those trust links and things like that, doesn't it? So you can see there's an actual real person there rather than a square on a screen. So,
I'm obviously not hiding my grey hair either, so I think I'm a little bit older in there. Absolutely, but I love face to face. I think Zoom and this type of thing has a place, and it saves us all a lot of time. But I still think people need that personal relationship. And I think I heard someone say recently that those face to face relationships can be worth 5 times as much as a Zoom call. But let me emphasize, that's not saying Zoom's bad, because I think it has a very important place for us.
Well, it's a level, right? There's levels of engagement, and with some people, you've only ever commented on their posts, right? You've never even taken it to a Zoom level, and then you go to a Zoom level, and then maybe if you are within a place where you can meet in person, and it sounds like for Sujita and Eric that you go into the businesses in person, and you take that relationship to that point, and maybe that is one thing that really does set you apart. And not maybe, it is one thing I think that does set you apart, because many other people might be like, send me a video of your office or send me pictures, and instead you're going in and you're taking the time to establish relationships. And that's really what this all comes down to, isn't it?
Yeah. And as I said earlier, when you collect data from the physical environment, you need to be there physically. But that also helps us to build a stronger bond with the customer. They come to know us. We come to know about them and their business very well. So you cannot get away from that in the RFID business, because you are talking about the interface with the physical world. You need to be there in person. We travel a lot. That's why.
Sounds like it.
Have your workshops? So your workshops are done in person.
Yes, they're on site. Yes, because as I say, it's partially talking to stakeholders in the business. So if it's a warehouse management system, yes, we'll talk to the managers, but we'll also talk to Mike who does the packing, or Phil who does the shipping part of it, and see how their roles fit into their role thing. So part of that is business process mapping and kind of mapping each of those touch points within the business. But then, what are their existing processes? And in a lot of cases, does that lend itself to RFID? Because sometimes a business process can be in direct opposition to the way RFID works. So maybe need to not necessarily change it, but just tweak the system a little bit so that it's more RFID friendly. Maybe if you're storing your parcels in a particular location, you can store them in a different location because there's a lot of metal and a lot of reflection in this area, for example. Those kind of little details do obviously add a lot to that solution, and add a lot to that success.
Yeah, because it's so powerful being in that room, isn't it? Because one you might spot Phil in the corner who's not saying a lot, but he's actually holding a golden nugget. Whereas on screen, you might not see that, or a breakout room.
Exactly. And in a lot of cases, not even managers notice that, because they're not necessarily doing the, a lot of the time we shadow people doing their job for an hour or so. What is it that they do? How do they operate? What touch points in the system do they go to? So, understanding that is crucial to, if you're going to put a technology system in that's going to complement that, you need to understand what the processes are underneath.
I think, Eric, Eric, I think you need to tell about the case where the door needed to be closed for the solution to work.
What?
Where the door needed to be closed to get a proper read.
Oh yes, this is one of the kind of one of the projects, I guess, where we do shine with that kind of knowledge of the RFID. There was a company up in the northeast of England that were trying to. It was a very highly metal environment. They had effectively, for a better word, a cabinet or a vending machine. What wasn't a vending machine, but if you imagine that, a complete metal cage, and they were storing handheld devices. So this kind of thing, PDAs, various things for, and they basically had a product that they kind of used to recharge these things at the end of the day. So they would sell them to, for example, an Amazon or a Hermes or a DPD or whatever the case may be. So these guys would take these devices out, go out in the day, deliver the parcels, capture the information, and at the end of the evening they bring them back to this cabinet, dock them into the cabinet, and it would charge overnight. And they wanted this cabinet to be an intelligent cabinet, so as you kind of remove the device, it knows who's removed it, and when you bring it back, you know who's returned it. And of course, they wanted to have a 100% read rate inside the cabinet. But this was very highly metal. It's a big metal cabinet, metal shelves, so we've got readers on different levels, or antennas rather, on different levels of the cabinet. And they tried to do this themselves, and they were saying, we just can't get them. You know, we can read on shelf 1, can't read on shelf 5, and you know, we've got real problems with this. And they were trying and trying and trying. So we came out and had a look at the system, and we said to them, well, look, this is very simple. I said, you know, look at the solution. As long as you've got the antennas in the right place, and we went out and tweaked the antennas. He said, yeah, but you're never going to get the 100% thing because there's loads of metal. And I said, well, if you think about it, metal's only a problem if you're on the outside going in. If you close the door, then you're creating a Faraday cage, and the signal inside it will bounce about and you'll get a better read range. So the moment we actually tweaked the antennas and closed the door and then hit the button to do the read, we got a 100% read rate. And they were like, so it's just closing the door. It's like, well, absolutely. You know, you've got to understand your physics. And I suppose the analogy of that, it's a little bit like the old engineer, isn't it? You know, the guy comes out to fix the car. You know, you've got an old car that no one knows about, and the guy comes out to fix the car, and he sits there and listens for a little bit, gets a hammer out and bangs it in a particular place, and it all works. And then says, you know, an amount with a lot of zeros on the end of it. Let's say we don't charge that much, but for the analogy, it works. Oh, you know what? You're going to charge £10 million? Well, yeah, it's 9,999,000 for the 25 years of experience I've got, and you know, $50 or £50 for the hour it took to tap the engine. So jokingly, the amount there, but the analogy still applies, isn't it? There's no replacement for that experience. You know, there's no amount of watching a YouTube video or you know, doing an 8-week course on something that will give you the experience at knowing where to tap, when to tap, how hard to tap, and what to do. And RFID is like that. You know, it's a lot of the projects, as I said, that we get referred, the ones that other people have tried, not had that breadth of experience, have then failed, and people come to us and go, can you help us? And in some cases, it's very simple, but it's just knowing, you know, what the problem is and how to solve it. And so the Faraday cage, sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. And, you know, it's knowing where and when and how it works for you. So
that's your suitcase of T-shirts, isn't it? Been there, done that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like, yeah, that's the one I ripped when I was 25. That was the one I ripped when I was 18. Yeah. Sure.
I love it because what you're saying is, I have knowledge someone else doesn't have, and that knowledge becomes valuable to that person because they don't have it or the time or the ability to learn it. I don't know what a Faraday cage is. I have absolutely no idea. So if I needed something like that, I would want someone like you, but you don't know how to record professional audio, I'm assuming. Right? So we all balance each other, and we use each other's skills, and it's getting that knowledge out there. That story that you just told about the box and the door shutting, that's a beautiful story to share on social media, where people would find it interesting because they're like, well, I don't know what a Faraday box is. That sounds so cool. You know, it's a kind of behind the scenes sort of a thing. So you have really cool stories. You have really cool stuff that you're doing. And I love Mark's ideas for you to kind of get it out there. I'd love to hear, do you have, Sujita, any final thoughts before we close up on what you want people to know about Nexatrack or about working with you guys, or just any final thoughts to tie things up?
I think what I'd like to say is we are a young, energetic company. We're ambitious, and we're very approachable. So if you see us, if you look at our social, drop us a message, and it's always no obligation. We don't tie customers in. We don't expect you to buy from us either, unless you're 100% happy. And if you just have a quick question, we're very happy to answer the question.
Yeah, and I think that's the other side of it is, I think we like to win business on our chops of being able to do the job, rather than just trying to get quick wins and run away. The fact is, people who work with us know we do a good job. They know we've got that level of experience, and it's kind of like there's a lot of light bulb moments when they work with us. They realise things about the software systems we put in place, but even their own business processes that they might go, we weren't aware of this, we weren't aware of that. So, but yeah, I was going to say the only thing is, my mature years, young in dynamicism. I'm joking. I was just saying probably more old pipe and slippers these days, but there you go.
Young at heart.
Absolutely.
Young at heart. I love it. My brain always goes to like, what would your marketing video sound like, right? And I'm like, we do the jobs that nobody else can do, the weird and the wonderful. But you know what? The jobs that the other companies can do, we do those too.
Yeah, absolutely. But
we do it all.
I think the term we use endearingly is sometimes that those difficult jobs are the stinky ones, the stinky ones that nobody else wants to do. But for us, that some of those jobs can be quite lucrative, and it's about delivering value to the customer as well. If a customer's got a business problem, it's like the A team, isn't it? It's like if you can find them and you can hire them, then then we'll turn up and we'll be the A team. So I'm sure I can get trapped in a shed and make a cabbage gun or something if we ever get into that situation. So I'm sure there'll be some weird project like that we can get out.
The A team of RFID. I love it. This message will self-destruct after this episode is over. Mark, do you have any? Can you wrap this up with some final thoughts? I'm sure you have plenty.
Well, I think we were talking about standing out from the crowd, and I think Sujita and Eric have detailed that in a lovely way. I think, yes, they've got the experience, they know the technology inside out, they've got the T-shirts, they've learned from the mistakes. But what I took away from their big differentiator was this: they're a solution provider and they really listen to their clients. And I think it's great to see. I love the bit at the end, the stories. I mean, the well-known phrase is stories sell, facts tell. So I think when we're talking about the marketing aspects, knowing those markets, those stories and those experiences are what you need to tell quite clearly, because I think they're really, really powerful. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Lots of marketing opportunities there for you, but don't forget referrals, because
I love it. There were some really great, there's some really great takeaways in there. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Mark, especially Mark Hodgkinson and your expertise, and Sujita and Eric Jones. Thank you so much for sharing with us about Nexatrack and the struggles that you've had and the way that you've taken that and how you really listen to the customer and that you've set up this ability to solve problems that nobody else can solve. That sounds beautiful, and we really appreciate you guys. If you want to learn more about working with Eric and Sujita at Nexatrack, sorry, my words are stumbling today. If you want to learn more about working with Nexatrack, you can visit them at nexatrack.co.uk and visit them on LinkedIn, go join them on their social medias. And as always, listen and subscribe to the Business Unwrapped podcast powered by Knowledge Cloud. And if you liked what you hear, leave us a review. Thank you guys for your time today.
Thanks, Aleesha.
Thanks so much.
Aleesha.